What's up, y'all? I'm still out here at the range, as you can see behind me, on this old cold, cloudy day. Temperatures, I think, are right about 40 now, or just about at 40, but it's damp out here, so it's very, very chilly. Luckily, we ain't got no wind. The sun teased me a little bit like it was gonna come out and warm stuff up, but I think these clouds have got it locked down out here today. But I still got a couple of good tests on the agenda for today, and this one right here is some more 40 Smith & Wesson. So I got the jelly contraption ready to go with a couple of chronos and 2 blocks of gel. Now, I've only done one test so far, so we got plenty of testing these up here to see what's going on. I'm using a heavy clothing barrier as usual with the layer of denim, fleece, and 2 layers of cotton t-shirt. And once again, for this one, we got some more 40 Smith & Wesson, and to be more specific, we got some more Sellier Bellot 40 Smith & Wesson. Now, y'all know I've been testing quite a bit of this S&B ammo lately. My local shop got in right much of it, so I picked up pretty much one of every caliber they had in there to get them tested. The lead HP stuff has been very, very hit and miss. More missed than hit. I think there might have been 1, maybe 2 that did okay, but for the most part, the lead expanding stuff has not been all that great. Now, this Exergy stuff, the solid copper expanders, that's a different story. I think for the most part, all of it has done well, or it's at least done what it claimed to do. So we're checking out the 40 Smith & Wesson with this one. Now, I did just test the lead HP from S&B in the 40 Smith & Wesson. It was pretty much a letdown, just weakly loaded, not really good expansion or anything from it, so not a really good round. This right here should be a lot different. Now, this is a lot lighter. This is 130 grain. Again, it's a solid copper expander. They're saying 1,247 feet per second, but that's gotten from a 6-inch barrel like they do so many times with their stuff. Just totally unrealistic to me. A 6-inch barrel 40 Smith & Wesson, that's just completely unrealistic. So I don't expect to see that 1247 out of anything we're running today. And that being the case, I mean, that's going to put this energy on down there. Even at 1247, you're right around 450, which is respectable for normal 40 Smith & Wesson. But if we go below, you know, you're going to need to stay like 1175, 1180 to stay at that 400 foot-pound mark. And if you drop below that, then you might as well just drop on back down to a 9 mil. But here's your look at the cartridge, brass case there with that solid copper expander. Now, not very deep as far as the cavity there, and they do have some nice looking skives going down to the base of that cavity, so these should have no problem expanding. And as far as what we're testing these out of, I've got a couple of different barrel lengths, my usual tools here. For the short one, we've got the G27, it's got the 3.5-inch barrel, and then for the longer one, I've got the G22 with the 4.5-inch barrel. So again, like I always mention, if you've got a 23, you can kind of guesstimate the performance to be right in between these two. So enough talking about it, let's get everything set up and see if these 40 Smith & Wessons can do the job this time. All right, let's see how fast this stuff's moving, y'all. I'm gonna do a 5-round average from each barrel length, starting with this 27 first. Now, you're gonna see multiple velocity readings from this radar, your big numbers right here at the muzzle, and then you've got 5 across the bottom. The first one there is set for 3 yards, which is roughly where the gel is here at 10 feet. And then I've got the other set for 10, 15, 25, and 50 yards. Now, remember, the box is saying 1247 from a 6-inch barrel, so there's no way we're gonna see that here. If I see less than 1175, then yeah, that's a complete write-off for me. I'll just tell you right now, because I can easily get 9 mil that meets or exceeds that. Yikes, 1093, 1178, there we go. That first one wasn't hitting it. 1131, 1165, and 1159. So in my opinion, that's just some weak 40 Smith & Wesson right there. Let's check out the average. All right, so our 5-round average from the 3.5-inch barrel was 1145 feet per second. We had an extreme spread of 85 with a 33.9 standard deviation. So quite a spread right there for whatever reason. 1145, I mean, again, that's well below, if my math's correct, I'll do the math here in a minute, but that's well below 400 foot-pounds of energy. And y'all know, just my personal kind of standard is 400 foot-pounds for 9 mil, so there's no way I'm carrying 40 Smith & Wesson that's under 400 foot-pounds of energy. And as far as the recoil out of that 27, I mean, it was nothing like super marshmallow soft compared to pretty much anything else I've run. So definitely not impressed so far. Let's reset it and see what the 22 does. All right, let's see what the extra inch of barrel length does for it. I don't expect a whole lot of difference right here, but it should give us some at least. 1175, It heard me talking about 1175, 1268. That was quite a jump right there. 1256, 1265. And 1205, so nice jump right there after that first round. Let's check out the average. All right, so quite a bit of difference right there. That time the 5-round average was 1,234 feet per second, so not far at all off from the 6-inch velocity. Now the extreme spread was big again, 93 with a 41.6 standard deviation, and I believe that's all again from that low first round. That was 1175. All the rest of them were up in the 1200s. That's telling me that these cold barrels don't like them copper rounds for sure. So 1234 right here, and if you remember out to 27, it was 1145, so you talking about 89 feet per second faster with just an extra inch of barrel. That's quite a good jump for just an extra inch. All that being said, I think you're going to see some good performance in the gel as far as expansion. I'm curious as far as the penetration. You're probably going to still see good penetration because I've noticed these Exergy rounds, they don't open up past the point of 90 degrees most of the time, so probably going to see some good performance from these. Now that being said, like I've already mentioned, that power level is just too low for me out of the shorty barrel, but the long barrel is right there with decent standard pressure 40. So let's get all this stuff reset, and y'all know what time it is. All right, y'all, let's go long or it acts wrong jelly time. I'm gonna put one from each barrel into the gel, starting with this 27 first. I'm really curious to see what happens right here. I'm not really exactly sure. I think it's going to look good in the gel, but again, it's just too weak for me as far as 40 Smith & Wesson. All right, that should have been a nice one right there. Let me go check it out. All right, that was looking pretty good right there, so I expect this one's gonna give us some nice stuff for sure. Let's see what happens. All right, that should have been another perfect one. Let's check these things out. All right, let's check out what we got down here, y'all. Pretty good looking stuff from both of these, really. The one on the top, that was the one from the shorter G27. As you can see, both of them look pretty much identical. Again, just like that last test with the copper rounds with the 9mm, these look nearly identical. Comes in here, immediate expansion, absolutely no doubt about it. Nice disruption through this block, carries most of the way through the block, probably about 3 inches shy of the end here. And you've got some pretty nice expansion. Definitely not full expansion, but it's kind of like what we've seen in the past from some of the other calibers of these Exergy rounds. And then of course down here, that's the one out of the longer barrel G22, the 4.5. Once again, it comes in here, immediate expansion, no doubt about it. Nice energy transfer all the way through the block here. This has the exact same penetration. I mean, those rounds are exactly the same, y'all. Exactly the same on penetration. Now, as far as expansion, this one has definitely more expansion. These pedals are sticking out pretty much 90 degrees, where this one from the G27, these pedals failed to meet 90 degrees even as far as expansion. So that just shows you right there that that velocity does make a pretty big difference, and size absolutely matters in this case. But as far as your penetration here, I mean, they're exactly the same. These things are exactly the same. So right there, you got 13.5 inches. And then down on the bottom, exactly 13.5 inches from both of these. So really, really nice penetration from both of them. And here's your closer look. Again, on the top's the 27, the bottom's the 22, pretty much identical. Again, you really can't tell the difference between these. Very nice disruption from both of them on through the block there. And you can see both of the projectiles, exact same penetration. Now, as far as expansion, there's your 27. You can see those pedals are not at 90 degrees. That one from the 22, they are straight out at 90 degrees. And then from the top, a little bit tricky because they're right on top of each other right there. And then as you go through here, they kind of curve and separate a little bit. All right, we got some more fancy copper rounds to look at here again. Once again, really impressive looking at solid copper expanders, but you can tell there's quite a bit of difference right here, especially if you look at from the side profile. Obviously, this one is from the shorter G27. This is from the 22. So again, you can see there, this one did not open up fully, no doubt about it. This one did open up fully. You're not supposed to get a whole lot more than 90 degrees on these Exergys, or at least that's what I've seen on pretty much all of them. Some of them, even the picture on the box, the little illustration looks just like this. It's not even 90 degrees. So I think the 45 ACP was one where the picture on the box looked just like this and wasn't even flat out like that one. But all that being said, this is still plenty of expansion. There's no doubt about it. So both of these, in my opinion, did a pretty nice job. Just a little bit underloaded for my taste, especially from this short barrel. But let's get the measurements to see what we got. As far as weight, they started at 130. This one from the G27 is at 129.8, so nothing lost on that there. I'm sure just manufacturing tolerances. The one from the 22 is at 130.0, so absolutely nothing lost from either of those copper expanders. And then as far as the sizes, we will see a little difference here. We'll start with the 27. You got 5.42 and 5.46, so nothing huge right there, but plenty of expansion for my taste. And then this 22 here, you got 6.45 and 6.33, so again, nice even expansion from that one right there. And in my opinion, once again, plenty from both of those. And there you have it, y'all, another test of the S&B Exergy solid copper expander, this time in 40 Smith & Wesson. I would have to say decent performance from both of these. It's nothing I'm going to go out and get because, you know, I just want more power than this. If I'm wanting this level of power, I mean, this one right here is under 400 foot-pounds, quite a bit probably. I'll have to do the math, probably in the high 300s, but still under 400 foot-pounds, I can easily get that with a 9mm. Now, this one right here is way more like it. Still, though, I can get better 40 for right around the same cost. That is one benefit of these. I'll have to give them credit. These are pretty cheap when you can find them, and they seem to be reliable and accurate enough. But again, in my opinion, just for my taste, I want something a little stronger, but these seem like they would definitely get the job done. All right, y'all, I'm gonna wrap it up right there for some more S&B 40 S&W. This is really about what I expected from these rounds. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this, as far as I can remember, all of the Exergy stuff has performed well, or again, performed like it claimed to perform if you had that big old 6-inch barrel like they claim. That right there is one of the most unrealistic things that I've seen from any of this S&B ammo. The fact that they use a 6-inch test barrel, especially for calibers like this, 40 Smith & Wesson, a 6-inch test barrel for 40 Smith & Wesson is just absolutely ridiculous. But that's just the way they're gonna do it, and that's the reason I come out here with much more realistic barrel lengths to see what you actually get in real world situations. And like I've already mentioned, in real world situations, this is a hard pass for me, especially from that shorter barrel. If I can get 9mm level energy, I'm not carrying anything bigger and heavier than a 9mm. That just makes absolutely no sense. Now from the longer barrel here, again, it's the good standard run-of-the-mill 40 Smith & Wesson, but once again, I've seen far better for around the same cost, so this probably isn't my choice either way, unless I've just got a bunch of it or I can get it for a very, very good deal. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you take a second and hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you've got those notifications turned on so you get notified when I upload stuff. If you're doing some shopping, take a second and check out those affiliate links. Like I always remind you, anything you get after hitting those links up helps out the channel, so I really appreciate that. Big thanks again to all my Range Gang members and every single one of y'all for supporting the channel. I've got one more test planned for out here today, so stay on the lookout for that. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you soon.